Good evening, everyone. Apologize for the delay. We were waiting for a couple of commissioners. Chairman Fletcher, I called me earlier and said he was going to be a few minutes late, so we are going to go ahead and start the meeting. And I'm going to call the meeting to order at 6:50 p.m. I'm going to establish quorum. ANC 5A01. The representative from 5A01. Okay, 5A02.
Here.
Thank you. Five A03 present. 5A04.
Present.
Thank you. 5A05. 5A06. 5A07. 5A08. 5A09. Commissioner Bakum, that would be you.
Yep, present.
Thank you. Okay, so we have 4 commissioners here. Commissioners, you were all sent the agenda. Let me just hold on. Make sure admit everyone here. I will put the agenda in the chat as well. It's also on the website. It was also sent out via MailChimp. Okay. Oh, it's not too long. Hold on, it's telling me it's too long. I can't send it as one document, no message. Okay, commissioners, you have the agenda. I am going to make one correction to the agenda. We're going to remove one item, item under 5A, allocating funds to Faith United Church of Christ. We are going to remove that item for discussion at a later date. Any objections to that from the commissioners?
No.
Okay. Any additions to the agenda?
Yes, I would like to specify under treasurer that we need to approve the quarterly financial report for quarter 4.
That's already on the agenda, Commissioner Bakum.
Oh, okay. And also that we need to approve the budget for FY25. So that is
So you're asking to add the FY25 budget.
yes. And also I will have a small little announcement under community comments to add about grants.
Okay, thank you. You will do that. Okay, commissioners, with that addition of the FY25 budget, can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
I move that we approve the agenda.
Okay, is there a second to approve the agenda?
I'll second that motion.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I'm doing too many things at once. Okay, all those in favor of the agenda as proposed, say aye.
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 And nays? Okay, the agenda is passed unanimous. Okay, commissioners, you were also sent the minutes from September 24. Unless there's any objections, I'd like to make a motion. We approve the minutes from September 24. If it's okay with everyone, can I get a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Treasurer's report. Commissioner Bakum, I'll put up the fourth quarter financial report if you want to go ahead and get started.
Okay, great. Thank you. I think there was just one transaction in the past 3 months. Let me take a look at it when you pull it up. you.
Mhm.
Yes, so we received 2 allotments totaling 11,657.48, and we only spent $120.34 for communications. So that was pretty much all that happened in July, August, and September. So that was the Q4 of 2024 quarterly financial report. Any questions?
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Bakun. Would you like to make a motion to accept the budget?
Yes, I would move that we approve the Q4 quarterly financial report.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Okay, Commissioner Bakum, you have the FY 25 budget, which I will also put up here.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you. This is going to be clearer when it does pass. If we approve this, there's just a little bit of a problem with the way the report was able to be printed, so it'll get clearer. Sorry for the little bit blurry. But anyway, so we are going to be getting 23,000, a little over $23,000 for the year, and we still have quite a lot left over from previous years, 91,717. So we're doing okay as far as that is. And as you can see, proposing 4,000 for personnel, 0 for direct office costs, 8,000 for communications, 1,000. Sorry, I'm trying to make it a little bit easier to see for myself, and it's jumping all over the screen for me. Okay, 1,000 for office supplies, 10,000 for grants, 500 for local transportation, 6,000 for purchase of service, 100 for bank fees, and 400 for other, totaling $30,000. And that will, if we spend all that, which is unlikely, we're gonna still end up with over $60,000 at the end of the year. So, any
Thank you,
questions?
Commissioner. Thank you, Commissioner Bakum. I have a question.
Mhm.
These numbers, can you share with us a little bit about how you determine these numbers? Are these consistent with previous years? How did you come upon these?
Um, the grants is a little bit lower. I think we had designated 15,000 in the past, and we've never actually given out that many grants. So I put it at 10,000, but if we come up with some amazing ideas, we can come back and increase that. But personnel, we also might not end up using that because personnel might end up going under purchase of service. We were gonna talk about hiring an admin person, and basically that cost can either go under purchase of service or personnel. So I just kind of wanted to be provide options by putting it in the budget. That way, if we needed to, we could use either one of those categories. And then we have no office costs. We don't have any like electricity, rent, or anything like that that we have to pay for direct office. So I put that at 0. Communications is basically like the website and any other services that we need, including like the PO box. It's definitely not going to be 8,000, but I just kind of put a cushion there. So let's see, local transportation also is traditionally not that much. Just put something just in case.
So I guess, so
Mhm.
Commissioner Bakum, I guess my question is that was there any commissioner input for this before it was developed, or I'm trying to
I
figure
mean,
out sort of what the basis of it was?
yeah, it's basically very similar to past years, but no. The thing is, we have traditionally spent very little, and So I just wanted to have these amounts there, but so that we wouldn't have to like go through, just, basically they're just there as a cushion and also based on past years. But again, we've never really actually spent all this much.
So I think just from having been on the commission for the last 6 years, what I will say is that I think there's usually been a process that we go through where
Mhm.
these numbers are determined as a group.
Mhm.
And I mean, obviously some of it is based on previous expenditures, but I think there's input to be gained from other commissioners in
Mhm.
terms of developing these numbers. So I'm open to others on the commission to hear your feedback, but I want to make sure that we are all in alignment with these numbers and they're not just randomly chosen, because I want to make sure that we are being fiscally responsible with how we spend our money. I realize we actually haven't spent a whole lot, so it's not a matter of, spending more than we have. But I do want to make sure that we are being fiscally responsible in terms of determining what is appropriate. I think the one thing, um, are you accounting for what we talked about in terms of the proposal to hire an assistant in this budget?
Yes,
Okay.
that is most likely going to come under purchase of service, but I just put 4,000 under personnel in case we for some reason wanted to put it under personnel. It will be a lot easier to do it as a purchase of service rather than have to do all kinds of tax forms and everything else. So I really think it will end up being better to do it under purchase of service, but I just wanted to save time by
Have
having the
you con
option.
have you confirmed with OANC that that's the appropriate way to budget for that?
Yes, it's perfectly fine to do it as purchase of service.
Okay, I mean, obviously, we can't do it as both, right? We'd have
Right.
to do which, and, okay, so they said we could do either?
Yes.
Okay, we just have to determine which we are going to do, and so you've put it under purchase of service.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Um, commissioners, do you have other questions?
Uh, you can go first, Commissioner Cozart. Sorry, jumped in front of you.
Actually, I want to present a motion, so I'll let you go ahead with your comment.
Yeah, no, I mean, my thoughts on it are that, I think that makes sense, and it's good that there's room for the secretary to be hired, the note taker. So, I mean, to me, that all these look good and compared to the previous ones from here. So,
Okay,
Okay.
and everyone's okay, um, with she made a choice to reduce the grant allocation because of just historically, we have not received many as more grants. Is everyone comfortable with that?
Commissioner Lucio.
Yes, Commissioner Cozart.
I motion that we move this particular action to the November meeting. And in the interim, that a meeting be held between yourself and Commissioner Fletcher to go over the details so as not to waste time this evening.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor. Do I have a second for that motion? I will second that motion. Okay, so the motion is that we table this conversation until our November meeting, and in the interim, that Commissioner Bakum, Chairman Fletcher, and myself start the discussion and then go from there. Can I get all in favor of this motion?
All right.
Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
no,
So, okay, so we have a tie and we don't have a tiebreaker. But the issue is that typically these are discussed in executive meeting prior to being brought to the full commission. And we didn't really fully discuss it. Um,
And if we can't pass it, we can't pass it. So that sounds like it is going to be tabled anyway,
yeah,
if
so,
there's not support.
okay, all right. So we do not have enough to pass this motion, so we will move forward with this, without this. Okay. All right, let me get caught up in the minutes since I'm doing multitasking. Okay, actually, we'll go forward with this. Our next item on the agenda is the Mundo Verde Large Tract Review Letter of Support. So who is here from Mundo Verde to present about this? Kristen?
Hi, Emily. Commissioner Lucio, I am here and I have my team with me. We have a brief presentation for you. But you let me know if you need to do any framing remarks or if you want me to just get started.
I will. Let me just give me 1 second. Why is it not letting me? Hold on 1 second. All right, I gotta let 2 people in. Yes, so let me do framing remarks. And also acknowledge that Chairman Fletcher is now here. So just to frame this discussion, as you all know, we had Mundo Verde come previously do a presentation, had come to do a presentation previously for ANC 5A about their expansion. They have purchased a building that's sort of kitty corner to their current location that used to be owned by Providence Hospital. And they are expanding. So what they are coming to present tonight is their request for a large track review. And with that, I will let Kristen jump in. One thing I will add is that they did present to single member district 5A03 previously and answered any questions the community had. So Kristen, I'm gonna make you a co-host. Who's got your slides?
I have them.
Okay, and then as I mentioned a second ago, I'm gonna acknowledge that Chairman Fletcher is here and he can take over leading the meeting.
Thank you, Commissioner Lucio, and good evening, everyone. I'm gonna let you all continue with this part of the presentation, so I'm not gonna jump in. Yeah.
Kristen, I made you a co-host, so you should be able to share
Okay.
your screen.
Great. For some reason, I'm not seeing the screen I want to share, but you're going to see the ANC agenda. And then I think as I switch over, okay. Are you seeing some happy children?
No, not at this time.
No. Okay, let me stop
It's okay.
and
Take
fix
your
that.
time.
You would think
Kristen, would
after
you like
all
me to
these-
share?
Perfect. Thank you. I think I have too many windows up. You'd think after all this time on Zoom, we would be able to get this right. But thank you, John, for sharing.
Yep.
John, you should have been made a co-host.
Great. All right.
Right, now you're seeing some happy children. You can go to the next slide. This is just who we have with us tonight. I'm not going to read my slides because we're really trying to honor your time, but this is the group that we have assembled ready to present a little bit and answer any questions that you have. Go to the next slide. Mundo Verde's mission, I'm not going to read it again, but we are a charter school in the District of Columbia with 2 campuses, both in Ward 5, and one, our Cayocho campus, is in ANC 5A. You can go to the next slide. This is a little bit about our Cayocho campus, which was born out of the success we had with our Cook campus, which is in a different ANC, but also in Ward 5. Similarly, serving grades pre-K through 5th. And our goal, we have 1 building right now, and we are renovating the Varnum Street building to add both some additional classroom space as well as to really sort of expand our ability at this campus to honor the part of our mission that has to do with environmental education and outdoor learning and play. You can go to the next slide. Specifically, the way that we're going to do that, we have purchased 817 Varnum Street, which currently looks like this. We're going to give you a window into the plan for reimagining this space, as well as our request for you tonight, which is support for our large track review. I will say that we spent some time, as Commissioner Lucio mentioned, in the single member district, talking through additional topics, which we're willing to respond to if there are any questions. For example, how we're living into our community agreement, how we're accessing local resources, upgrades to our current 4401 building, traffic study, and how we're going to manage the construction. Tonight, we're really just showing you a preview of the project and the large track review request, and are prepared to dive into any of the rest if time permits and you are interested. You can go to the next slide. So just as for a reminder for some of you and new information for some of you, our current campus is the building on the left. That is the 4401 8th Street. We have always known that we needed some additional space. We explored building on site, which, given you can see how small the footprint is, it was a pretty untenable proposition. And then we were really extraordinarily fortunate to be able to work with Providence to acquire the Varnum Street property. So you can see that the property that is kitty corner to our current campus, and the slashed out blue is the Stewart Center, which is not our property, but you can see that our property it fully surrounds the Stewart Center, and part of the large track review process is to address how our two properties relate to each other. More on that shortly. You can go to the next slide. I'm not going to read this, but we really imagine this site as a sustainability demonstration site, something that will provide our students with a lot more access to play spaces as well as outdoor learning spaces, but also make those spaces available to members of the community. We are envisioning a building that is much less impactful than the current building that exists on the property, and that hits very high sustainability standards. You can go to the next slide. I'm not going to read the timeline, but this will be available to you in the deck. But briefly, we've started abating. We will be demolishing the existing building shortly. We hope to begin foundation work late in this year or early next, and then start construction in January. You can go to the next slide. Here's some images of what this building's going to look like. This is the entrance, which has administrative space on the right and a multi-purpose room on the left. This is a courtyard on the interior.
Sorry.
And if you want to back up, I thought I had put a classroom image in, but basically this is 8 classrooms, a multi-purpose room, and some small administrative space. We're really trying to keep a very low footprint in terms of how much space the building actually takes up, both primarily so that we can prioritize use of the space for outside learning and play. I'm going to turn it over to Jeff to talk about the large track review, which is the request we have before you this evening.
Great. Thanks, Kristen. So hi, I'm Jeff Utz with Goulston and Stores. I'm land use counsel for Mundo Verde. And I'm here to give a quick synopsis of kind of what the large tract review process is and kind of the specific of the application. Here, as you can see on this image on the right, the site that Mundo Verde owns is indicated as site to the bottom left. And then it actually surrounds and envelops the lot 811 there that's owned by the Stewart Center. Today, as we sit here today, the existing 2 buildings are on the same record lot. So it's a very large record lot. It's about 4.5 acres. There is a concept that exists in the DC municipal regulations that if you have a lot that's between 3 and 10 acres, the Office of Planning has the discretion to subject the subdivision of that lot to large tract review. So here they decided that they wanted to run this process, and we're happy to do that. So therefore, we are here with you today to talk through this specific process. What the subdivision will do, it will actually break up the existing property into 2 record lots. One that roughly approximate what's shown as site, and then one that approximates what's shown as lot 811 with a portion that'll actually connect that out to the public portion of Varnum Street Northeast. So the concept looks at just the subdivision process itself, and then impacts that would be created by it. So the package, I put it in the chat in response to the question asking if it was public. It is public. It's posted to the Office of Planning website. So that's the link that I put in there. That's the whole application. We filed that on August 30th. And the process usually takes about 4 months altogether to run through. Can you go to the next slide, please, John? This image is, to me, the best one from the package that is at the link. There's a denser set of plans there that you can look at. There's a statement that describes the project and kind of some of the standards and elements of the LTR review. This shows on the left side the existing conditions, and then on the right side the proposed conditions. So what's there now is actually a 36,000 square foot building that's also 3 stories. And then what is proposed is about a 16,000 square foot building. I think it's actually smaller, but we wanted to be conservative on this slide. And a 1-story building. So rarely is it the case where I am able to present a project to the community that actually is reducing its overall size and envelope and impacts. So in addition to that, it's also combining all these other fantastic elements of the site improvement, like sustainability enhancements and enhanced landscaping and reducing paving and things of that nature. So in this case, that assessment that comes with an LTR process of those impacts is really favorable. In this process, this is something that will be additive to this site. And then, as you can see, the Stewart Center is the same. So the concept is that the project doesn't touch that site. It just kind of gives its own record lot. And ultimately, what this will do, it'll bring the 2 lots into accordance with the zoning regulations. Right now, it will enhance the conformity of the zoning regulations. So that is a quick synopsis of the LTR. I'm happy to answer any questions about specifics there. And I think we have the next slide is the end, if I'm recalling correctly. So we're happy to answer any questions that you all might have, but really appreciate it. We would really appreciate the opportunity to get your support as well as part of this process.
Okay. Thank you so much for that presentation. I think it was worthwhile and very informative. And from my understanding and from what I heard from you all, as well as Commissioner Lucio, you've done a lot of community engagement. You've met with their single member district. So Commissioner Lucio, before the body tonight or any of the commissioners, if there are any questions or comments that anyone wants to present at this time, we can do that now. Commissioner Lucio, I want to come to you first because it's in your single member district. Any comments, questions from you?
Thank you, Chairman Fletcher. For some reason, I'm having trouble removing co-hosting from. Oh, there it is. Okay, I got it. Thank you. So I want to be able to see everybody. Thank you, Chairman Fletcher. I think that ANC 5803, single member district 5803, has reviewed it. We've been involved in this process from the very beginning. As I said earlier, they came to an ANC meeting to present about this project. So we do know about the project. So the project is moving forward. So I want to be clear that we are not here to vote on the project itself. The project itself is moving forward. What we're here to vote on is the large tract review application that was submitted that changes the land area. So I just want to make sure everyone's clear on that. And I will say that after their presentation to single member district 5803, the community was in favor of this proposal.
Thank you for that, Commissioner Lucio. Commissioner Bukum, I see you have your hand raised. I want to give you the
Thank you. Yes, I just had a question. What do you mean, improve conformity with zoning regulations? In what way is this gonna be better for zoning regulations? I just don't understand
Right,
exactly what
good
you mean by
question.
that.
Right, yeah, thank you for that question. That's a good question. I realized as I was saying that in closing out my portion that I'd never really described why it was non-conforming now. There's a legacy condition where there are two buildings on one record lot now. And it's just, this happened over the years. My theory is that it's a hypothesis, I guess, that at the time these were built, they predated the zoning regulations that required there to be one building for one record lot. So we inherited this condition where there are two buildings for one record lot. So to rebuild the 817 Varnum building, even with a new building, it would be more zoning compliant to form its own record lot and be able to build one record lot on the new lot and then keep the Stewart Center on its own record lot. So each one, it's one record lot for one building after the subdivision.
And if I can just add to that real quick, for those of you who are not familiar or newer to the community, all of that land over there, or a significant portion of that land over there, used to all belong to Catholic University. And so there are pieces of it that Catholic University still has somewhat of a vested interest in. And so when we deal with this, we're also working with a lot of that as well. I see Jeff nodding his head.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I just, this all used to be that whole area used to, as I said, used to be part of Catholic University, and it's sort of been pieced off. And as Jeff was saying, this particular lot was one lot that's actually later on became two, but it was never officially done the right way. Am I saying that right, Jeff? So
Yeah,
what we're trying to
exactly.
do is rectify what was not done correctly in the past, if that makes sense, Commissioner Bakum, to answer your question.
Commissioner Bakum, did you get your question answered?
Yes, thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. And thank you for that information, Commissioner Lucio. I see two questions from the community. First, I want to Charles Lockett, and then I saw a question in the chat from Claiborne. Hi, Ms. Claiborne. Thanks for joining us as well. So I want to go with Mr. Lockett first, and then we can go to Ms. Claiborne.
Okay, good evening, everyone. My curiosity is that with all this additional construction planned to take place in that same area, will there be any safety factors or any concern that you would like to know? Will it affect the school and cause some safety concerns once your school is up and running, the kids are there?
John, do you want to speak to that? John's our project manager.
Sir, I think we do not have safety concerns during construction or when we're fully operational. We have a lot of mitigation strategies in place for both, which I'm happy to talk about. Is there a specific point you want me to speak to?
And John, just to interrupt real quickly, we're having a little sound issue with you right now. Just if you could fix that anyway.
1 minute.
Okay.
What I heard John say was that we are working hard to make sure that the construction is organized and scheduled, and we don't anticipate it having an impact on safety of students or the surrounding community. And was there anything in particular or specifically regarding safety or the construction that you were looking to understand better?
What I was talking about is that all the new construction is going to take place in that same area. Homes and everything in a new school is coming up almost in that area. So that means there's going to be big trucks and everything coming in through that area and equipment. Will that interfere with any part of your building and construction and the safety of the kids where they leaving the school or coming to school?
Yeah, is my volume any better?
Fortunately not, I'm sorry. Yeah, you were good before. I'm not sure what happened.
Hold on.
Chairman Fletcher, can I try and address this question a little bit?
Sure, you can. Yes.
No, I'd rather hear it from the developer, the people who's running the building.
So, Mr. Lockett, I hear your
Yes,
concern.
sir.
I hear what you're asking for too. So, I'm going to see if John can answer If not, Mr. Lockett, I'm not sure that there's anyone else that could answer your question besides Commissioner Lucio if John is not able to. I just want to put that out there.
Okay.
Is that better?
It's a little better. It's a little.
Let me try one more and then.
It's actually getting. It's
That
actually
one any better?
a little better. Well,
Alright.
trying to be optimistic.
I apologize.
While he's fixing that Chairman Fletcher, if I can just say one quick thing.
Okay.
And that is that, you know, we have been working very closely with all of the development that's going on in that area. We're very aware of it. We've connected the different developers from this project with the developers of the Kennedy School and the 801 Buchanan Street townhomes, as well as the proposed developers for the Providence project, which is a little ways down the road. So we are all in coordination together. And at our last single member district meeting, one of the things we did talk significantly about was the truck traffic and making sure the impact of the construction truck traffic, especially as it related to the drop off and pickup of the students. So we did discuss that in our single member district as well, and in ensuring that that was not going to be a factor during the heavy drop off and pickup times, because we wanted to make sure the safety for the children.
Okay. John, does that sound? Does that surmise what you were going to say to some degree? If not, if we can't still hear you, my other suggestion would be to write in the chat. And Mr. Lockett, if you could put your attention to the chat, I believe John is going to further answer your question there. Okay? Because I want to make sure questions get answered. I want to be very clear about that. So if for some reason that's not the case, we can come back to it. But Mr. Lockett, look out for John's response via the chat right now. Next, sorry. Did you have another comment, sir?
No, not me. Go ahead. Sorry.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you. So there's two other comments. Carmen Williams, Chair, President of North Michigan Park. You'll have the last question on this topic, unless I see any other hands raised, because I want to make sure we are moving. Ms. Claiborne, do you want to say the question, or you want me to just read the question?
I'm here. First of all, let me just say that I admit that I have not been really aware and involved with this project. However, looking at the presentation tonight, I can say that I'm impressed to see a project being proposed that lowers the footprint of the actual building itself, and that you end up with a single-story building as opposed to some 3 or 4-story building. So I think that's impressive, as well as how much of the land space would be used for environmental education and sustainability issues. However, I do want to know, since I understand that charter schools are funded in part by money from DC Public Schools, what DC Public School involvement has been or is, and I don't know if they have to be involved, but is there any involvement by DC Public Schools in this process?
Kristen, are you able to answer that? Speak to that?
Yes, I can speak to that. Our process as a charter school is that we go before the Public Charter School Board to present our proposed location, our proposed intentions for how many students we will enroll, and where those students will be located and how we will support their learning. We don't have any formal involvement with DCPS. I do and will actually be meeting with a senior individual from DCPS next week to just explore how our project might be relevant, or where there might be opportunities for collaboration with DCPS regarding neighborhood schools. If there's anything more specific, I'm happy to answer it, but just wanted to.
So when you say you'll be meeting with them for collaboration, so there is then a possibility that the students who are, in this same age rate, so that you're talking about pre-K through fifth, might have an opportunity to be a benefactor of some of the benefits of the environmental education in this footprint once it's completed, that it won't be just limited to the young people in the charter school system. Is that correct? Is that a fair statement?
I don't want to overpromise, but I do want to commit that I'm open to exploring what collaboration is possible. And yes, the property itself will be available and accessible to students and children from even from the neighborhood, regardless of what school they're enrolled in. We have successfully at our Cook campus maintained very low fences, open access to our play spaces during weekends and off school hours. So that, as a matter of course, will exist. And then collaboration with DCPS will be something I'm exploring, and I'm hopeful that there's opportunities there.
Okay. Thank you.
Question response. The final question on this topic, at least publicly, will be Carmen Williams. And I know that there are questions in the chat, so I ask Kristen and John if you can pay attention to the chat to answer any additional questions, just out of respect for the overall agenda and moving things along. But Carmen, you have the last question now. You have the floor.
Thank you so much. And thank you all for the presentation. It's been a long time coming to get to the stage where we are today. And I believe initially when they started this project, it was to develop a school that would house as many as 600 children. Are we still on target for that, or will there be additional construction even after this?
Happy to answer that if that makes sense, Commissioner Fletcher.
Please.
We currently have 500 students at the 4401 8th Street building. We are on track with this project to enroll a total of 600, but no more than what we had initially proposed to you now years ago. You are correct. We came before you many years ago to talk through our overall vision for this project and for our school in this community. The Varnum property allows us to ensure we have enough space for the initial for the 600 students we've always been proposing, as well as outdoor space for all of our students to learn and outdoor space for community members to benefit from.
Thank you and congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much.
Chairman Fletcher, with that, I'd like to make a motion.
Perfect. Yes.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept their proposal for a land tract review from Mundo Verde Charter School, Calle campus in ANC 5803.
Okay, Commissioners, a motion has been presented by Commissioner Lucio. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, and so the second for this motion is for a letter of support for Mundo Verde's large tract review. Ready for the question? All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say nay. Any abstentions? Okay, so the ayes have it. I will work with Commissioner Lucio to produce the letter of support, and to John, Kristen, your team, and also to Jeff. Who do we make this letter in attention to? Commissioner Lucio, you'll handle that part. Okay, sounds good. Just let me know. I will review it and put a signature to it. And you all, congratulations. And you hear from the community, we're very happy about reduction of footprint while also modernizing a renovation such as the one that you are in the process of doing. So thank you all very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you so much for your support and time tonight.
Absolutely. Thank you all again. And so, all right, everyone, commissioners, we're going to continue along with our agenda. Next up, we are going to have a brief discussion, and I will entertain a motion thereafter for the establishment of a joint 5A, 5B special committee on the Taylor Street proposed bike lane project. I want to be clear to the community, and even before I go there, I want to let the community know that one of the commissioners, thank you, Commissioner Lucio, Commissioner Borrego, 5B, single member district 5B01, reached out to myself and to other commissioners, including Commissioner Lucio, asking for the creation and the establishment of a joint committee, special committee to investigate, research, analyze the proposed bike lane project that's coming to Taylor Street, that's proposed to be coming to Taylor Street in Ward 5. And this is a project that's going to transcend ANC 5B and 5A. That is the purpose behind this special committee. I want to be clear, though, we are not approving or disapproving, opposing the bike lane project. All we're doing is putting together a special committee, potentially, to investigate, research, and provide recommendations to both ANC 5A, 5B, to the Ward 5 council member, Zachary Parker, as well as Mayor Bowser's office. So I just want to be clear about what the potential motion before us is. I see two hands. First, Vice Chair Lucio, and then I see a Walker. But before I get to Walker, if there are any other questions from commissioners, please let that be known. Commissioner Lucio, you have the floor first.
Thank you. This is in my single member district, so I'd like to give a little bit of background on this, Chairman Fletcher.
Absolutely.
So, as many of you know, ANC 5A and ANC 5B, as well as other neighboring ANCs, have for a very long time had a very good working relationship where we collaborate on projects or concur on projects that border our two ANCs. And this project came to my attention that ANC 5B was working with this committee that they've created to make proposals and recommendations to DDOT about what DDOT was proposing for bike lanes on Taylor Street. And it came to my attention, and so I reached out to them and asked them why they did not involve ANC 5A, since this clearly borders ANC 5A and ANC 5B. And they acknowledged that they made a mistake and should have come to us. And so, in effect, they're coming to us a little bit after the fact, but they have agreed after I met with them to work together on this. And so we talked about this at length when I met with them, and it was my suggestion that we establish a joint task force between 5A and 5B to raise questions and to ask DDOT what is going on and to make suggestions. So I want to be clear, as Chairman Fletcher said, we are not rubber stamping this. This is entirely for the purpose of getting 5A's involvement and voice heard on this project. So I want to make sure that that is very clear.
Thank you for that context, Commissioner Lucio, in the background. Any other comments or questions from commissioners before we go to the community? Okay. Walker?
Yes, my question is about the community and the stakeholder involvement. On the committee, will you have anyone from the community or any stakeholders? Will they be involved on the committee?
So from my initial understanding of the request and the formation of the committee, no. But I can't see, that seems reasonable to me, to have that. Commissioner Lucio, I see your hand. Yeah.
That is 100% correct. The goal is to have community stakeholders as part of this group in addition to commissioners.
Okay, because I just wanted to get a clear understanding that we asked that question in the 5 BOT 2 monthly meeting, and we were told that that you welcome community involvement in these committees. And so later we got a notice that there were only 2 committees, so maybe this hadn't been approved yet. So that's like a concern, is that, the community involvement, that they are, and that we will be involved, stakeholders will be involved in this committee. So that's the only question I have.
Yes, and as Commissioner Lucio reiterated, and I did as well, and we can't do this work without the involvement of community members. And so without, dedicated members such as yourself and others, we're not going to be able to make decisions that are in the best interest of the community. So we welcome you and others. And so if we do vote in the affirmative to establish a
Mhm.
special committee, would love for you to send an email to myself or Commissioner Lucio, and then we'll make sure that you're involved and informed, and anyone else that wants to be self and Commissioner Lucio.
Okay, I got a question, because it seems like it's limited to just 6. Is it just 6 people? People
It's-
altogether?
That's only for the commissioners. So there are going to be 3 commissioners from ANC 5A, and then 3 commissioners from ANC 5B. Then in addition to those, we'll have community members involved as well, as because you are stakeholders.
Okay, so another question, who do we submit our names to?
Uh,
I put
Commissioner
my email in the chat.
Okay, Emily, okay. All right.
But Chairman Fletcher, really quickly, I know there's other questions. I want to raise something that was raised in the chat. I want to make sure people are aware that there was some controversy over the development of this group through 5B. I have talked with them about that. We're not going to do it the exact same way. We are going to make sure there's a commissioner involved in this group, that which there should be. And so I just want to make sure everyone's clear on that we are going to make sure to do this the right way in collaboration with them.
Okay. Okay, so you're the contact person. Oh, okay.
You can
All right.
contact me. Thank you.
Thank you.
and Miss Walker, you can also, as chair, you can also reach out to me as well if you can't, in addition to Commissioner Lucio. We're all here at your disposal. I just want to be clear about that as well, to assist you. Okay. Former Commissioner in Washington, you have the floor.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much, 5A, for establishing to work with 5B. As I had explained to Commissioner Lucio, and I think also you, Commissioner Fletcher, I felt like, I'm in 5A06. I don't have a commissioner. 5A05 has one, but I don't know where that individual is. And I think that 5B was running away with this bike lane issue, and I thought very highly that 5A was not being represented. So I am thanking you guys for establishing a committee, and I definitely would like to be a part as it relates to the community. Again, thank you very much.
Absolutely. Hey, former Commissioner Washington, when you say things like that, I know, we're on the right track as a commission, as an ANC. So thank you for your support. And to anyone, again, that's interested in this, Commissioner Lucio put her email in the chat. Just put it in the subject, interested in joining special committee for protected bike lanes, something along those lines, just so we know what you're discussing or what you're looking to talk about in the subject. But with that being said, if there are no other questions on this matter, I would like to entertain a motion to officially establish the special committee on the protected bike lane project on Taylor Street for 5A and 5B.
Chairman Fletcher, I'll make that motion that we establish a joint commission between 5A and 5B on the Taylor Street bike lanes.
I'll second.
Wonderful. Okay, commissioners, you heard the motion made by Commissioner Lucio. Next, it has been seconded by Commissioner Bukum. Commissioners, are you ready for the question? All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say nay. Okay, any abstentions? Okay, the ayes have it. Okay, thank you so much. And we're going to continue moving along with the agenda. We're going to go down to community updates. And I do want to take a little personal. Folks that know me know that I wear a few different hats. I have some of my students from my AU, American University, Washington College of Law class on right now. So they're taking notes about how to be involved in the community, about what a local government meeting looks like. So I know that they're peppered all around the meeting. So thank you all for joining, and I'll speak to you at the end of the meeting. So with that being said, I want to go to community updates. First up, I don't think we have anyone from MPD. Is anyone here from MPD? Okay. And so next, I will go to the mayor's office. I believe Christian Bell, you are here. I'm sorry, Christian Starhill. My apologies. I believe you're here representing the mayor's office and place of Anthony Black. Thank you, Christian. I'm sorry again if I said your last name incorrectly.
Yeah, it's okay. My name is Christian Stargel, and I serve with Anthony Black as the Ward 5 Moker. So we don't have any major updates this week. The only thing that we're honing in on for residents is, again, the leaf collection. Leaf collection season begins on October 28th, 2024. And for residents in wards 1 through 8 in section A, you guys will be the first group. So they're recommending that you have your leaves raked to the curb by Sunday, October 27th. And anyone else, they're recommending that you follow their pages as they post every Friday a message for residents explaining when their section will be serviced. So right now I can go ahead and drop the link for all things leaves. And that's all the updates that I have so far today. I can't hear.
I got your link in there, Kristen.
Okay.
For leaf
So
collection.
contact information in the chat as well.
Okay. Any other questions for Christian at this time? All right. They were easy on you today, Christian. So no other questions. So but thank you as always.
Thank you though.
Chairman
Great.
Fletcher, there is one hand raised.
Chris? Okay, thank you. Well, we got one. Okay. Ms. Key Williams, you have the floor.
Hi, Christian. Good evening, everyone. I met you at Turkey Thicket. I had a question about River Smart Homes, and you instructed me to reach out to the Department of Environmental, to the DPEOEE,
yes,
I believe. But I haven't received a response. So if you could I'll put my email address in the chat if possible, so you can get back to me about that.
Yes, I'm gonna put my information. If you could email me the person you reached out to that you made that you were able to speak to, and I can follow up with them.
Okay, I did not receive a response, but thank you.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you.
Again.
Any other questions or comments for Christian? All right, thank you. And Christian, you're more than welcome to stay, hear what's going on, but we understand if you have to go elsewhere. Thank you again for joining.
Thank you. I'll be on.
Okay, wonderful. All right, next up, we have Ward 5, our Ward 5 liaison from Ward 5 Council Member's Office, Zachary Parker. We have Oliver here. Nice to see you as always, Oliver, and you have the floor.
Hey, how you guys doing this evening? I am Oliver, and I do constituent services for the Ward 5 Council Office of Zachary Parker. I also am in charge with doing most of our interaction with MPD and the rest of our public safety apparatus. As far as updates from our office, I don't have that many. Thanks to Christian, she also gave you guys the information that I was going to give in regards to leaf collection for October 28th. Other updates was the Attorney General Brian Schwab on October 17th announced a lawsuit against the Fort Myer Construction Company which is one of the region's largest road paving and infrastructure construction companies, for illegally contaminating the district's stormwater system with pollutants in violation of the Water Pollution Act. The lawsuit alleges that the runoff from Fort Myers headquarters, which is a Ward 5 location, which is located across from the Costco shopping center on South Dakota Avenue, um, 2200, 2237 33rd Street, was polluting the Spring House water run, which flows through the Arboretum and the Anacostia River. I'll also drop a link to you guys if you guys would like to look up the full press release from the Attorney General's office. Outside of that, last week we had our Ward 5 public safety meeting. I can also drop the links and updates for that, which, just as a recap, we were that monthly public safety meeting is what we do every month. And we had DDOT as well as the safe routes, DDOT safe routes to the schools. We also had DPW, Mayor of Public Safety and Justice, Safe Passage Program. And we also got to hear from the McKinley Tech PTO for School Safety Committee. So majority of that public safety call was focused on the students at our schools and school safety. Outside of that, just to get a little bit more into specific issues taking place more of 5A, I know that we had constituents had reached out in regards to a public safety issues, which took place. It was two separate matters where we ended up coordinating with our partners at NPD to address some of the issues that the neighbors were experiencing on 6th Place as well as 8th Street. I know that our commissioners, Lucio, as well as Commissioner Fletcher, were all involved in helping us facilitate that as well. As far as other updates, please, if you guys would like to, reach out to me in regards to anything that's public safety wise, I'm happy to escalate that for you. If you guys have any other questions or any concerns, as far as like 311 tickets that you don't see that you're getting any progress on, feel free to reach out to me. Our office tries to be as responsive as we can. I know that, we're covering a lot of ground, but feel free to reach out to me via email or just give me a call. But as far as everything else, that's about it from us. Oh, one other thing was residential property owners may be exempt from the sidewalk shoveling enforcement through DPW, in which if you are a senior, which is 65 years or older, or a person that is disabled, you can apply for this exemption. I'll drop the link to that as well for sidewalk shoveling.
Thank you for that
Yep.
great presentation and that and detailed information, Oliver. I see there's a question, a couple questions in the chat. So I'll do this. First, I'm gonna go to commissioners to see if commissioners have any questions, and then from there, I'm going to recognize a question that was posed in the chat, and then we'll come back to those in the community. So Commissioner Lucio, your hand is first.
Thank you, Chairman Fletcher. Hello, Oliver. How are you?
I'm doing fine. How about yourself?
Good. Thank you for the acknowledgement earlier. I appreciate that. You mentioned about wanting to know about 311 calls, and one of the complaints I get from constituents quite a bit, which would be really helpful if you could maybe help address for people, is they submit a 311 request and then within 24 hours or less, they get a email that says the ticket was closed out without any acknowledgement of what happened. And I think that's very frustrating for residents, especially when it doesn't give indication as to why it was closed out. I had a resident whose trash wasn't being picked up and she made a report twice and both times it was closed out, and she finally reached out to me and we got it taken care of. But residents shouldn't have to do that, right? If the 311 system is working, they should be able to do this through 311. So I'm just curious about anything you're hearing about this 311 system and responses and what the community really should be doing about this when this happens. Thank you.
I would say the first line of defense whenever you're not getting any progress on a 311 is to either reach out to our office or reach out to the MOCR's office. What I have seen in different cases, and this is on a case by case basis, sometimes 311 will close out a certain ticket because it was categorized wrong, and they don't give any explanation until we escalate it and they say, okay, it was another ticket needed to be done. So there's been different instances of different ways that, you know, they can possibly get closed, or sometimes an inspector may come out and he may not see it, or he may not be able to locate where the problem is. There's always different things, but
But
feel
that's
free
not
to.
right, right, Oliver? I mean, for it to be categories wrong and no one to fix it or no one to say,
Yeah,
please resubmit it under the right
yeah.
category. I mean, that seems a little
Those are
frustrating, I
those are
think.
just the things that I've heard. And again, this is, you know, not to be taken like, you know, this is not everybody's case, but you know, I have seen that. But I mean, if anyone ever does have those type of situations, feel free to reach out to me, as well as reach out to Commissioner Lucio, because she's worked a lot of 311 cases where
Thank
she's
you,
gotten things
Oliver.
escalated as well.
All right. Awesome. All right. Next, in the chat, I see Shamik Robinson. I'm not sure if you want to ask your question or you want me to read it.
No, it's totally fine. I'm totally able to ask the question, but I think Christian answered the question.
Okay. So
And it was in reference to a slide. It was in reference to a broken slide that is at a park
And
that
Taft,
that gets that it
Dwight
looks like
Mosley.
to the can you guys hear me?
yes.
Okay. It's a park that's next to a playground that's next to the North Michigan Park Recreation Center. I think people mistakenly think it's a part of the recreation center, but I actually think it's a separate standalone park. But there's playground equipment for toddlers. There's a slide there, and the slide has a jagged rip in it. I didn't think a piece of plastic that thick could rip, but it is ripped, and somebody attempted to tape it with duct tape, electrical tape. That tape has come up, and so there's just a jagged edge where if the wrong kid doesn't look and come sliding down, they will potentially cut their leg off. And so I had no idea where to report this to, so I took some pictures and I'm bringing it to the 5A meeting. There's representatives here from the mayor's office, from the council member's office, from my single member district, just figuring out how do we get a slide repaired, basically.
Please, I'll drop my information. You could send that off to me. Usually DGS is the responsible agency to fix playgrounds, if that is a DPR facility. We'll
Okay.
escalate it to them and they'll turn it into a work order, and then they'll give us
All right,
a
I'll email
timeline.
you a copy, Christian, and my council member, single district member, and put photos. Thanks.
Yeah, so like Oliver said, I just wanted to highlight as well. Hopefully it is like a portion of DPR and the rec, because if it's not, then we'll have to figure out like who owns this playground. So
Yeah.
hopefully if it's a portion of DPR, then like he said, we can both escalate it to DGS. But yeah, I'll wait for the email and the pictures and everything like that.
Okay, you'll have it before the close of the meeting tonight. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for that important question and observation. That's, you know, we want to make sure our community is safe, especially for our children. So next, I'm going to go to the community. I see two hands. I'm going to go to Mr. Oliver, and I'm going to go to Mr. Lockett. Mr. Oliver, I think you're on mute. Oh,
Here you go. Can you hear me now?
you can.
Okay, fantastic. This has to do with a company called Jubileaf. I believe they were on the original agenda, and I believe there are medical marijuana dispensary. I just wanted to hear what the status of that is, whether they're in a spot to notify the community of what they may be doing, whether the ANC has been notified, and if so, when will I guess notice get out, or when will we address this issue?
Yes, and so just we are handling things properly with the agenda. We're going to talk about that momentarily under presentation. So that will be addressed tonight. So once we get through this portion of the agenda.
Thank you.
No problem. Mr. Lockett.
Yes, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we
Okay.
can. Yes.
Okay. My concern goes back to Providence. Okay. 10 years ago, I sat in the meetings where we okayed and EYA got the bill across the street. And the reason the hospital said they were closing is because of financial. Now, I understand they're billing 300 homes that are $800,000 on the other side behind, I guess, the school they're going to build there. And I've asked the question, was was the Providence giving this property to them for $1? And I've never got an answer. And I've somebody said that well, it was much more than that. But now I'm being told the reason they're giving it for them for a low amount like that is because of asbestos. Now, my question to the councilman's office, the U.S. Attorney's office, how long has asbestos been into that hospital in this community that people in this community patronize that hospital for, what, 50, 60 years? And if that's the case, the U.S. attorney or the council member need to look into it about that asbestos, not telling how many people was exposed to it or has been exposed to it or what effects it has on our community. I don't think it was right for them to say now they're letting that property go, that that price is prime property, $1, but to say because of asbestos, how long has the asbestos been in that hospital? How many people then been in that hospital and probably are dead now who may have been exposed to it? I'm only recommending that the council member and the U.S. attorney look into this to find out why asbestos is being brought up so they can get rid of that land now. And if that's not the case, I've taken asbestos training. And to give up that kind of land for asbestos, that's got to be a whole lot of asbestos in there. I mean, a whole lot. So if that's the case, what effect did it have on the community and them not sharing that information to us until this later time when they're trying to get rid of the property? Thank you.
Thank you for your concerns, Mr. Lockett. Always appreciate your concerns because you make sure that we hear them as a community. Oliver, I'm not sure if you're able to speak to that now. If not,
I'm happy to take that back
yeah.
to our office. I'm not unable to answer that. I'm not sure.
And I know you would try. I just want to, just being honest about it, I know you probably can't right now. So, and Commissioner Lucio, this is in your single member district, so you could continue working with Oliver and Councilmember Parker's office, the AG. I guess maybe we could try and have an update. The same something like what the AG did some months ago when he had that community meeting at Bernie Bacchus. Maybe have something like that again.
Chairman Fletcher, I can give you a brief update and say that, and I believe I've shared this before, but I know I shared it at the North Michigan Park meeting, so I'm happy to share it here. The council member has been engaged with the Office of Attorney General to move this project along. And most recently, and I will share this, I worked with the council member because they are negotiating the sale price, and there is going to be a sum of money that is going to go back to the city. And I reached out to the council member and asked for that money to specifically come back to ANC 5A, in particular ANC 5A03. And we have requested that money be earmarked for resources for medical treatment for low cost for families in need. Because there is going to be an urgent care center with the development that has been requested and has been agreed upon. And so the idea is that to bring that back to help support members in the community in need who have healthcare issues, who can't afford healthcare otherwise. So we are working with that, and I will say that the council member has been working with the Attorney General's office to continue to move this along and to get this project moving. So that's what I will add as of right now.
Okay, thank you very much for that.
Sir, Commissioner, Chairman, can I make a statement, please?
Sure.
What she just said to just now was all about the money. My major concern is that an investigation from the council member or the U.S. attorney needs to look into that hospital about the asbestos. How long has it been there? How has it affected the people who use that hospital? That's my concern. The money thing, that's their problem. I can't do anything about that. But my concern about the safety. Thank you.
Understood. And listen, safety is always of utmost importance. That's why, you know, I started out saying to Oliver, if he could go back to Councilmember Parker and his office and just work with Commissioner Lucio, because listen, for me, any project that resides in a single member district, you know, for those that may be new on the line, Mr. Lockett, former commissioner, you got to always work with the single member district commissioner. So that's why I made the statement to Commissioner Lucio to work with Oliver as well as Councilmember Parker's office to find out next steps, especially around the safety component. So that's where we are. And, you know, by next month, we will, Oliver, if you can have an update, please, something, anything around this topic will be helpful for our November meeting. And I will work with you on that as well, if that's okay.
Sounds great.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Lockett, so that's where we are right now on this topic. You are definitely heard on the issue of asbestos and safety issues, and we'll get back to you by next month or sooner regarding an update with that, okay?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And the last question for Oliver, I think he probably didn't expect to be on call this long, but Ms. Claiborne, you have the floor again.
This is actually not a question for Oliver, just some information. I met with some attorneys with the Office of the Attorney General, as well as a representative from the Land Development Office, as a matter of fact, this week on the Providence Hospital project. Without going into any details about that meeting, because a group of us from Ward 5 had presented them with a number of proposals over the last year, I would say to Mr. Lockett and anyone on this call that if you have questions about where the Providence Hospital, the transfer of that hospital to apparently for-profit entities, one of them being, I think, EYA, and the other one being Mankiti, I would suggest that as a group of people that you reach out and contact the OAG's office now before any done deal is done. They do have the option, although I understand that there are litigious considerations with it, they do have the option to approve that sale with conditions. I don't think that there's a appetite for doing that, but that doesn't necessarily preclude that they have the authority to do it. So I would suggest that before that review is completed, and it is not, we are told that the review has not been completed, so it has, that sale or transfer has not been approved. You need to speak to the OAG's representatives who are working on this, so they know that there are people in our community who are not asleep at the wheel on this, and that we are concerned and are looking at what actions are being taken with respect to the entire Providence Hospital proposed transfer.
That is all I'm asking.
Hey, look, you know, this is good. Community members just talking with each other during our meetings is a good thing as well. So thank you, Ms. Claiborne, for those. And so now we're going to move forward with the agenda and go down to reports and presentations. And Oliver, as always, thank you very much. for the information, and you can stay with us, but we understand if you have to go. So next, we're going to hear first from Jubilee LLC. This is from Miss Susan Webster. This is concerning a licensed retail cannabis and wellness center that will be potentially located at 4942 South Dakota Avenue within my single member district of 5808. So Ms. Webster, are you here?
I'm here, her husband, William Webster. I'm one of the members of the company as well.
Yes,
Okay.
I'm here as well. I'm just not going to be doing most of the talking because I'm have a little laryngitis going on. So I'll let William do it.
No problem. I hope you feel better as well, ma'am. And
Thank you so much.
Mr. Webster, do you have a presentation? Do you need to share your screen or anything at this time?
Yes, I'm going to never done before, and I'm going to try.
Okay, all right, we'll help you. We got you. So Commissioner Lucio will give you. So you are now a co-host. So if you see the green button at the bottom of your screen that says share.
Yes.
If you click that button,
okay,
be able to have an option to share your screen.
Okay. Safari unknown. Okay.
Do you see your presentation?
1 second. Documents. Will I be able to share them straight from my email?
Chairman Fletcher, if you want to email it to me, Mr. Webster, I can pull it up real quick. You want to just send me an email real quick?
Yes. Okay.
It's 5A03 at
Wait,
ANC.
Okay. 58.
Nope. 5A is an apple.
Uh-huh.
03
Uh-huh.
at anc.dc.gov.
Okay.
Want to send it to me real quick? I can do it.
Sorry, you guys.
No problem.
Not that advanced, and our system is not around. A, 3, 3, A, C, DC, GOV. I put JUB.
Oh, you know what? I think I have it. Is it the proposal that Ms. Webster that you sent us already?
Yes, uh-huh.
I have it.
Yes.
Just give me a second.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I sent the proposal and the security plan as well.
Yeah, I've got that too. Hold on 1 second.
Thank you.
I will pull them both up.
Then I'm not rushing you, but just if you can do the presentation in about 5 to 7 minutes, and then we could take Q&A because the time is getting late and we have some other agenda items as well. So just want to put that out there. If we can do our best to meet the expectation.
Okay, I can start talking to her while she's looking for that.
Even better. Yeah, that's even better.
Okay. Thank you, guys. Thank you for having us. We both have been residents in the Woodbridge area for about 20 years. And then once we had a chance to deal with APRA and get our conditional medical cannabis retail license, we jumped at it. We're fully approved. So I was going to actually email you, Susan, you might want to email her that as well too. Their conditional license, we got out in April, and they give you the year to find a location. We found this beautiful location on South Dakota Avenue because we live at 3424th Street, which is about maybe 3 or 4 miles down the street in Ward 5. We've been there for 20 years. My wife Susan's a cancer survivor. She found a relief in using medical marijuana as an alternative to the harsh narcotics. We signed the lease, I think, in August, and then we have been dealing the DC government and making them happy and change. We had to change. It was a cleaners, of course, and so we had to do some work and provide a full set of plans and things that they needed and site plans as well as the security plan. So we have been working with them on that, and then we got approached you guys, the team, the ANC. So we sent over just a PowerPoint talking about the mission, the community impact, operations, the commitment to the community, Owls Up operation, and once you find a location, ABRA requires a security plan within that security plan, Owls operations, and also a site plan. So we've also sent that to you guys, and that's what we normally send back to ABRA. I just want to point out a few things. One, this is not a smoke shop. Two, in our organization, we have our doctor, which is Dr. Major, that will be participating along with we call ours wellness centers. And so we will be having a supervised doctor that will be having other products that is needed in this retail location. We hope to, we actually like the landlord, so we hope to be able to get him to kind of renovate that more the exterior of it. He's allowed us to do our exterior, so hopefully he follow and renovating the front of the facility itself. But we're fully aware of the community. We've been around there for 20 years, and we will not be having a little walk-in smoke shop. Fully secured key fob doors through the whole facility. Fully, one thing that ABRA has us do is that the camera system has to roll for 24 hours, and that security plan has to be complied with on a regular basis. So, and ours are wellness centers. That's the whole concept.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Webster. And yeah, and you did great in terms of time too. I think like right at 4 or 5 minutes.
Yes, if I can interject, it'll be run more like us just spent like a pharmacy. And the aesthetics will look more like an Apple store. Of course, a much smaller version. And we are both Washingtonians. I'm a Trinity College is my alma mater, born in Washington Hospital Center, and been living in Woodridge for almost 20 years. So we love the neighborhood. We're right abutting, where we'll be hopefully opening, and it is a good opportunity. Through my journey, I was offered a lot of different harsh opioids. And I found that I don't smoke. I can't smoke. But there were a lot of different alternatives to the medicinal and wellness, holistic things that I was able to use to help me eat, to help me be able to sleep, and to help me to get through the harsh times that I went through battling cancer.
Thank you very much for the presentation. And I just want to say congratulations to you, Mrs. Webster, on just a positive and successful battle with cancer. That's something that I think first and foremost needs to go recognized, not unrecognized. And so next, what I want to make the community be very aware of is we are not voting on this tonight. This is a presentation. And then we will take the presentation. We will make sure that we disseminate it to the community. I also plan to host a single member district meeting, possibly a joint single member district meeting, where this will be a topic of discussion before our November ANC meeting of the whole. So I just want everyone to know what the process is going to be. So we're not voting tonight, but this is just information purposes and for us to kind of understand how we're going to move forward together going forward. So I see questions. Before I get to the community, as always, with protocol, are there any questions from commissioners first? Okay, so if there are no questions from commissioners, I'm going to go with Bill, and I'm going to go with Robert, and I'm going to go with Charles, and then I'm going to go with you, Channa. So Bill, you have the floor first. And then these are the 4 questions on this. If anyone else has any questions, please raise your hand before we get to the final question. Otherwise, we're going to keep moving along with the agenda just to respect everyone's time. So first, Bill, you have the floor.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
We can.
Okay. My concern, this may be something that you, the applicants can't answer, but maybe you can. I did some research. When I learned that this dispensary was coming, I learned last week, about this time last week, and it was per Eugenia's message board thing. And it just said Jubilee LLC. And I said, what's that? So I went to the ANC's website, and there's nothing there. So I did my Google search, et cetera, and I did some research. And I found it was a marijuana dispensary. I said, I don't believe this. And since it's under the same board that the alcohol is under, I knew that ABRA, usually with liquor stores, et cetera, because we've been fighting liquor stores and liquor license around here for days. So I knew what the procedure was. You put up placards, you give the community an opportunity to give input and discussion and protest if they want to, or sign off, or or do a settlement agreement, all kinds of things like that. But in this case, there's nothing. Now you had, during your presentation, you mentioned that you had been in communication. Communication with who? That's my question. During my, I'm gonna get off real quick here. During my research, I learned that, so I said, what's going on? What's with this Jubilee LLC? Find out that it was incorporated back in March. Then I did some more searching, and I found it was the board approved it in April. I said, dang, wait a minute, where's my ANC? Didn't they, who, you said you talking to somebody, but evidently no one told, Abra didn't give the ANC something. Then you didn't give I don't know. Then I looked ahead, and then I see on the Instagram post where you sign your lease in July. Now here it is October, and we just found out about this thing in the community, at least as far as I know. Now, please, I'm asking, why didn't you? This may be something you can't answer, but and another thing too was I did some more research on some of the law, and it said as in alcohol situations, those particular licenses, usually they send it to the single member district and to the chairman. My little quick read said they sent letters to every ANC commissioner. They do cannabis a little different. But I'm just concerned that no one in the community knows anything about it. And you've been approved, you signed your lease, good to go. And now you come to us in October to discuss this. I'm not mad at you, sir, and your wife, but I'm a little disturbed with my ANC that if they got notice since April, and then I hope that the mayor's person and Zachary Parker's guy is still on the line, because if y'all not, this is ridiculous. If you letting the Abra board get away with not giving giving the community notice, because I did read a little blurb that said you don't have to do it. They don't have to let the community know. There's no community discussion required. I said, wait a minute, is cannabis different than alcohol? Anyway, that's my concern. Why we got this in October, and you already, I don't know. So you really just here to say we're going to open up next month and come on down and buy, and we have no input whatsoever about anything. I'm done.
Can I speak to that? And thank you. Thank you. But I wanted to explain the protocol for acquiring a conditional cannabis license. Of course, we have to open the LLC first. And then, I'm sorry, I just cannot stop.
I can finish if you like.
Okay, yeah, please.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Bill. We just we just try our best to abide by the laws and the rules. It's very hard to obtain a medical marijuana license. It's a little easier with the alcohol. You find a location and you can apply for an alcohol license. The marijuana license are actually conditional license that APRA approve out of so many different applicants. And then there's so much that they require first, which is, I can't tell you if it's backwards or not, but I mean, of course, you know, we don't want to sign a lease and then have to pay rent and go through the different channels for backwards. So once you're fully approved the conditional license from them, then you also have to deal with the I think it's DOC in terms of build outs and changing over the for the CFO, and then that you have to have that approved from the ANC. So we are taking all the steps that we have to take. We didn't sign a lease until the end of I think July or like August, and then it takes money to do everything, and so then we started looking at our designs and things of that nature, and then that's why we're here now to present to the ANC and also present to the community, hoping you guys all agree that it's definitely something that's needed. This is, again, it's not a liquor store. This is much different from liquor stores, governed much different from liquor stores. And we're here now to make the community aware, and as we seek approval from the ANC, that's our focus. But we don't have any. We're not wasting any time, and we didn't waste any time. It's just what the process that it takes dealing with ABRA. They're much stricter than the alcohol community. If that answers your question.
I'm sorry. You're here today to introduce yourself and seek approval from the ANC.
ANC just said we wasn't seeking approval. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's what I was saying in the beginning, Bill, is that no one is voting on anything tonight. They are presenting before us, and then I'm going to host a single member district meeting between now and the end of November, and we'll have a deeper conversation, and then the community will vote if we support this or not. But just because we support or not support, the business can find other ways to continue on. However, I will say this before I go to the next question to Mr. and Mrs. Webster. Anyone that knows anything about North Michigan Park knows that we are a tight-knit community and we work together with businesses and stakeholders and just new residents, older residents, everyone in between. So that's what we're going. I'm hoping over the course of this time now, we could build a working relationship where either if the community opposes or approves, either way, we can work the best together, because I can hear from you that no matter what is decided here, that you all are going to continue moving forward. But what I'm saying there is that's not going to be in the best interest of your establishment not to be working with the community.
No, we welcome the community. We're not 50s. I'm 56 years old.
And
not at all.
That sense.
But I've been up the street. We've been up the street from you guys for 20 years.
Right. And I feel that sense from you. But I'm just going to put it out there. This is a sensitive issue, right? Okay. This is a topic that is one some folks support more than others, right?
Most definitely.
As we discuss this. So with that being said, I want to go to the other questions. I know there's Robert, there's Charles, and I believe Uchenna. Commissioner Lucio, we already went to the commission, so I want to get the community comments and then I'll close out with you. So Robert, you have the floor, sir.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner. I just want to say I am happy that the Websters, especially Mrs. Webster, has fought and won her battle with cancer. I know that can be very trying, and I'm glad that she was able to find something that worked to keep her away from the harsher chemicals.
Thank you.
My issue is that now that we're here, I think what should happen is this. We need to go back to ABRA and at least get them to contact properly the 200 footers or 100 footers or whatever the process is so that we can, from this point forward, follow, I guess, the rulings that I'm familiar with, which is more so the alcohol than the cannabis. The cannabis rulings are new, but still, I think that there should be some overlay in terms of properly notifying the community. Now, what I guess maybe Abra dropped the ball, but it's up to us to pick it up and go forward. My additional question is, I did take a look at that cleaners, and I know that most of the facilities there are rather small. So if we're going to have, say, for instance, a dispensary, I can see the counter and everything being in the front piece, but is there a larger space behind it? Because the room looks to be about maybe 25 by 15. And in addition, there is a rear portion, I guess, where all the trash is kept. Is that going to, can that become a way for your trucks or delivery to more securely be done from behind as opposed to doing up front? Now, maybe the only way you can do it is up front, but if there is a security plan, I know that I think there was a dispensary that's up on Blair Road near Cedar, and they've had some problems with people trying to defeat the security. So those are issues that I'm sure you're planning for, but I think that it will happen. So that's basically my questions.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know you choosing to speak. Yeah, so the ABRA is really, really strict on the security plans, and just like some of the nightclubs, the kind of different from the liquor stores. The nightclubs have certified ABRA security guys, and we'll be using certified security guys. Also, we'll be using the front because it's more discreet, and you have to purchase from the Washington D.C. cultivators. So that you can't put product in it from anywhere around the world but Washington D.C. So it's more discreet, when the products come in. To your question, the size of it is actually the right size for us because we didn't want a big one because we're going to be running ourselves in Ms. Webster, and we didn't want a big, huge establishment. I mean, and again, we live maybe a half a mile down the street, a mile from the location.
Right. Thank you.
That answers your question. And
Yes,
and other thing is that, so what ABRA does is they have a system that before they approve, they look at the zoning in the areas from anything being close to it. So and that's how they base their approvals.
Thank you.
All right. God bless you.
Yes, also people would be able to pre-order. So we don't anticipate the average customer to be in there long. The average customer may come in, just as like I said, if you were going to pick up a prescription from a pharmacy, they will come in and obtain their prescription and leave, not be there. So the place is very small, but it does have a basement.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So, two more questions because we have to move. We have to continue on. Hopefully, we could get out of here before 9. Mr. You have the floor.
Did you say me?
Yes, I did.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear you say my name. Okay.
Mr. Blocker,
All
yes,
right.
yes.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna be very honest with you, young, late, ma'am and sir. I'm hurt by this, and I live directly across the street from you. Where you're going? That you pursued license, permits, and everything without consulting the community. And the other one is that why here? Could you not have found a space up on Rhode Island Avenue in Woodbridge where you're at, or up the street further by Bacchus was more commercialism? It's probably the cost of the rent for those places, but I'm a little offended because I see that store similar to a liquor store sitting between a church and a family restaurant. And I don't agree with that. And I know people are gonna come to that establishment, and if they drink and drive, they're gonna get high and drive. And I do not want anybody into my backyard driving a car, truck, or whatever. But I wish y'all had came to us without spending your money to purchase all these things to put there in that shopping center there. And because you have no opinion of the community of what we think about what you're trying to do there, because you had your mind already made up. You purchased all this to put that there. So I can't support it, sir. I'm really sorry about that. And I wish y'all the best. But if you want to take it further to Woodbridge or up the street by Bacchus where more commercialism is, fine with me. And I will give you my support. Thank you very much.
Let me say thank you again, and once again, we've been in that neighborhood for 20 years. Medical marijuana is much different. I have aching legs on both sides of my grandmother and grandfather's side, and so I use some of the creams that really helps my legs at 56 years old. We're a little different from all the poison and the drugs that's in the Walmart down the street and the Walgreen around the corner. We're really much different. So if you kind of would, not no disrespect, might want to educate yourself just a tad bit on it. It's not that harsh. We will have strong security. Thank God, we are glad as well too that the district do not have the recreation side of it like Maryland does. So you have to register, you have to require a permit to come in, and when you walk in the door, you have to go through a security check to present your ID to get inside of it. So once again, we will be enforcing all the rules and all the regulations by ABRA. A little different again from the Walmarts and all the other chemicals that has been that they sell in these liquor stores. I'm not a holistic. I'm sorry, in the pharmacies. I'm not that holistic. I am a health nut, and I don't take that many drugs from out those pharmacies. But if you kind of educate yourself a tad bit on these products, they really work, to be honest with you. And I have 4 kids and 6 grandkids. So I'm trying my best as a 50-year-old African-American man to be positive, work, and give back to the community as much as I can. So
Well,
thank you.
sir, I'm a 74-year-old disabled Vietnam veteran. I
Thank
know about PAP.
you. God bless you.
I've seen it. I know that it can be people in need for
We need
health
to move on.
reasons. They're there. They can be used for it, the creams and everything. I don't disagree with that. I'm disagreeing with your location. Take it to Woodbridge or up the street somewhere with more commercialism,
Chairman
not
Fletcher, we need
between
to move on.
a church and a family restaurant.
Un-
Thank you very much, sir.
Understood. Thank you, Ms. Lockett. Final question, comment on this, Commissioner Lucio.
Thank you, Chairman Fletcher. I just want to make first a point of clarification that ABRA has changed their name to ABCA, which is the Alcohol Beverage and Cannabis Administration. So they are the agency that is covering this. So I just want to make sure that's a point of
Yes.
clarification is no longer ABRA, because that's been mentioned several times throughout this conversation. Second, I want to just get a clarification from you all. You have already signed a lease, correct?
Correct.
Yes,
And
because you have
do you
to.
have a planned date to open?
We would like to open as soon as possible, but you have with ABRA, it's called ABRA. So APCA, you have to sign a lease. Once you their system is a little different. You might want to have a conversation with them moving for the
Well,
future.
but so you've signed a lease. So
Yes,
I'm asking, since you've signed a lease, are you prepared to open? That's what I'm
So
confused about, because you're coming to the community to ask our approval, and certainly we want to go through the process, and we want to make sure that the community's voices are heard. As you've heard very clearly tonight, there is a lot of concern about this in the neighborhood. But I'm just trying to understand, are you planning to open this before that happens, or in addition to that happening, or are you going to wait until that happens?
Okay, let me answer that. In order to obtain your conditional license with APCA, you first, of course, have to have a business, so you have to go with DCRA. And then they want you to find a location. Once you find a location, they map the location and making sure that it's not near another cannabis store, retail store. And so once you have those 2 criteria done, as well as zoning, then they want to see a lease, okay, a signed lease. Once you've signed that lease, then you go on to obtain a permanent license. The permanent license is contingent upon certain things such as a security plan. Of course, you have a payment that needs to be made to APCA. You have just a plethora of different things that need to happen with the security plan, zoning certification, other things. And then part of that is a 45-day presentation to the community, which is why we are just now coming to you because, and a CO, a certificate of occupancy. So even though it seems backwards and it should probably be done a different way, they do make you go out and get a lease before you get while you have your conditional approval, if that makes any sense.
No, I mean, I understand what you're saying, but no, it frankly doesn't make sense, right?
I
Because I mean,
agree,
what
but
what
but it's
happens?
just the way.
I understand, but so what happens if the community does not support this and writes a letter to the ABCA board and says, you know, the ANC 5A does not support this, then you've spent all that money in your lease and every month you've had, you know, to not being operational, right? So I mean, that's the part that doesn't make any sense.
I don't think that and maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think that, I think there are ways around that.
Right.
But I don't know.
No. So, Mr. Webster, you are correct. There are ways around it. However, this is what I said in the beginning. And businesses, stakeholders that come before ANC 5A that come into this community, they always work with the ANC. They always work with civic associations because we are a tight knit community. And so we don't want that to change now. We've fought together on many issues. We've supported each other on many issues. And so that's what we're talking about right now. But you are right. And I am aware that you can circumvent the support or the great weight of the ANC. You can, but that would be, I don't think that's what you want to do either. I don't think correct. So what we need to do is we need to have more conversations around this, not tonight. Tonight was initial presentation to make the community aware. I'm going to schedule a meeting, a single member district meeting, where we can have a more robust conversation. And we're going to this. If by some chance, one way or the other, ANC 5A votes to oppose the liquor license, then at least you know our stance and our position at the end of November, and then you can work in the best interest for you and your business. That's just, I know that's not what you want, but I'm just telling you the different options.
Yes, we really want to work with you all and try to become a part of the community. And try to diminish any fears or any thoughts that maybe you all have about it being negative, because it will not be. It will not be. We have done. I'm sorry.
I don't. I'm trying to balance between making sure I don't cut you off and keeping us
safe.
And so we can try and be done properly before 9 p.m.
Okay.
But please continue, please.
No, I just wanted to. I don't know what the vision is of what the fears are. I heard some, but it will not be a negative situation. It would not be a situation where it's unprofessionally run, or there'll be loitering, or we are coming to improve that strip mall and the look of it and everything, as well as, like we said, we're very fond of the landlord there. And so we want to make it as beautiful and as aesthetically pleasing as possible. We are not looking to do a smoke shop. We are not looking to have, one of the things through my journey I appreciated was when I went into certain dispensary that I went to, was that there was not a smell of smoke. You could not use your product when you walked out if you were smoking. It was none of that. And so there were very strict rules, which people like myself, like, that are middle-aged or just want to move with discretion, were able to. And that is the kind of, and to top it off, we won't just be selling cannabis. There are other products that many other products that actually sell better than smoke, than the flower. So there's a lot of things that we want to do and educate, not looking to have people, drive away blitzed and things like that. That's not the idea of it.
Oh, and so, like I said, we will. I don't want to. This is just a presentation. I think that
Yeah.
the entire community is fully aware, and so we will have a single member district meeting where we can dive much deeper into these discussions and these questions and comments. So, I want to stop it there because we're not done, community. We have other agenda items, and the time's 8:45. So I really want.
Thank you, Mr. Fletcher.
And so, Commissioner Washington, former Commissioner Washington, if you could put your question in the chat, please. And also, just for time purposes, we could have a deeper discussion. I would not ask you to do so, former Commissioner Washington, unless the time was getting late. So thank you for your understanding as well. Ms. Webster, Mrs. Webster, Mr. Webster, thank you very much. I will be in touch with you probably tomorrow about scheduling my single member district meeting, and there's a good chance it'll be a joint single member district meeting.
Okay.
Bukum and 5809. So because of other matters that I need to discuss as well. So just putting out there for the community. Be on the standby. I'll provide information in the coming days. Thank you. And we're going to continue along the agenda. Next, I believe we're going to have a presentation or a report from Greg Matlansky, from Greg. Hopefully I'm saying your last name correctly. Bicycle program specialist for DDOT. Greg, you have the floor.
And we're going to sign off. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Everybody enjoy the night.
Thank you.
Right. Hey, good evening, everybody. Thank you, Commissioner Fletcher, and the rest of the members of the ANC 5A. Thanks for having me tonight. My name is Greg Matleski. I'm a bicycle program specialist with the District Department of Transportation. And I'm here tonight to talk to you all about a proposal for a capital bike share station that we are looking to install at Fort Totten Drive and Crittenden Street Northeast. So let me, are you all able to see my screen?
Yes. And Greg, I think you already heard me talk about the time, so I know you will do your best.
Yeah, I'll be quick. So just at the beginning, what is not capital bike share? We're not the scooters, we're not Lime bikes, any of that stuff. No, capital bike share. We are the red bikes that you see out and about. We are Metro DC's publicly owned nonprofit bike share service. We're open 24 hours a day. Over 7,000 capital bike share bikes and 780 docks within the region. We are made up of 8 jurisdictions. And apologies if I'm going through a little quick. I know we're short on time, but we first launched in September of 2010. We're over 14 years old. We were the first bike sharing system in the country. Since that time, we've had over 44 million or nearly 44 million trips. We have over 26,000 monthly or annual members. And 2023 was our best year ever. We had over 4.4 million trips. And it is only September in 2024. And we've already surpassed that ridership number by 27,000 trips. So we are doing great. Here's a nice little chart detailing our success. March 2023 through September of 2024. We've broken ridership records every single month. And May, June, July, August, and September of this year were the highest ridership months ever. So we're doing great. And October is looking to break records as well. But the reason I'm here tonight is about new stations. Before we get into the exact location, just to give a background on how Capital Bike Share decides where station goes. So we have this nice big document called the Capital Bike Share Development Plan that was released in May of 2020. And that is our guiding document that identified areas throughout the District of Columbia where to prioritize for new Capital Bike Share stations. And so you should be able to see a little map here in the corner here. Let me move this thing off my screen. So these little green, light and dark green circles show high and low priority areas for expansion. And so that development plan broke down areas based on to focus on for revenue, for ridership, for access. And we also are deciding where stations go based on our Move DC plan. So Move DC is the district's long-term transportation plan. And it calls for 90% of district residents to be within a quarter mile or less than a quarter mile of a capital bike share station. So zooming in on that map, if you can see my cursor, so the area in question that we are looking at tonight is around here. Zooming in, you can see it's right in the overlap between a two priority areas for expansion. So let's go down to the proposal itself. So this is a location that we would like to debut or would like to install a small station, a 8-dock station at the southwest corner of Fort Totten Drive and Crittenden Street Northeast. You have a nice little overhead photo right here. It would go within the clear zone of the intersection, so it would not take any parking at all, and it would help daylight this intersection. So this intersection already has flex posts and everything, but we know that people still park there. They obstruct the sight lines for the crosswalk. It's a dangerous condition. It puts pedestrians and drivers at risk. So this is something, you know, it's a bit of a win-win. We can help provide transportation options for the neighborhood while also making it safer for folks. So here's a nice little footprint photo. You can see the station would go in this little area right here. And again, we would not take any parking. So, and this is what the stations would look like. So this is a new station product that we are using. It is called Pillar Dock, and so it is a bit of a lower profile station. The two big things with it are that it doesn't require a big kiosk on it, so it's a little cheaper, and so we're able to go down to smaller units like we can do here. And the big thing is that it has a new locking mechanism that is so much more quieter than what Capital Bike Share uses now. You can literally push the bike in with your finger and it locks it in silently. It's pretty amazing. So I know I just ran through that really quick. I know we're at time, so happy to answer any questions. Happy to go back over anything because I know I kind of ran through that quick. So, but thank you all for having me. Happy to answer any questions.
Greg, thank you for that very much. And we do not have, as former Commissioner Washington stated, we do not have a commissioner in ANC 5806 where this bike lane is looking to be installed. So former Commissioner Washington, I want to give you the floor if you had any questions or comments about this.
Oh, I certainly do. I have a lot of them.
Okay.
First of all, no, the community hasn't been notified, and I am currently the acting president of the Civic Association for Fort Totten. And Mr. Matsky? I don't know what you guys use to go around to find out where you can install these bikes, but where you're talking about putting one, first of all, the street was just made one way last year. It hasn't been one way all along. And they just put the flex post up on the street. So for me, in the community that we're in, which is a close-knit community where there's most people drive, and also at 1 Hawaii Avenue where the new development is going, Commissioner Fletcher, I don't know if you recall, but when we approved that development, there's going to be a bike share there. Which means there will be 2 bike shares within 1,000 feet or less. So
Correct.
I don't know if you're aware of that or not, but I can give you the individuals at Wesley to contact as it relates to that, because that's part of the project and the development that's going to be there. And
yes, no, we're fully aware of it. We I was the one that planned that station at 1 Hawaii. So yes.
Okay, so why are we getting one less than 2 blocks away?
Because these are smaller stations, and so to build a nice little network of Capital Bike Share stations, you know, you want them sort of spaced. You know, our ideal is within I think 1/8 of a mile from each station. You know, that really helps get to these these the station density that, it's really convenient for folks because, if this station fills up, there's really not a station close by. So, or the station's empty, so on and so forth.
Well, there's a station at Catholic U.
So my comment there, just to add to this discussion, Greg, I think it sounds like it would be advantageous for you to potentially, or your team, someone from your team to potentially connect with the local civic association and you can hear from more community members, because of the fact that we do not have an ANC representative for 5806. That's a suggestion to make sure that this project, you can say that you had community engagement, because right now there's not too much of that. A suggestion as you move forward with this bike share installation.
Yes, of course. Yes. Yeah, we're happy to reach out. Sorry, my cat just.
Okay, so Sandy, if you don't mind putting your information in the chat.
I will.
Greg, if you could reach out to Sandy. As you can see, she's a dedicated member of the community, former long-term ANC commissioner. I don't need to run her resume down. I believe Miss Washington. So if we could do that and just to move this along, that would be great. So that's that. And Sandy, I'm going to move on now. For
Okay,
time.
not a problem.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
And Greg, can you put yours in the chat as well so that I'll have it?
Yes, we'll do.
Thank you.
Chairman Fletcher, just one note is I don't have this copy of the slides. So Greg, I just asked you if you could send those to me at your earliest convenience. That would be great. And Chairman Fletcher, there are other people with hands raised. I don't know if you saw that.
I did. Thank you. I thank you so much. Terrence and Kathy, and then Dimitar, if I'm saying that correctly.
Yeah, this is Terrence Richburg. I have just a couple of questions. One, my only concern, well, I have two concerns. One, I know that a lot of the bike shares, and maybe you can correct me on this, is it that if a person is using the bike, because I don't know anything about how that works, but can they leave a bike somewhere else around in the community and not lock it back? And the other thing, because I've seen other things like scooters and other vehicles and things that have been placed and they're just left in an area in the community, just left there. And apparently trucks come and pick them up. Is that something that happens with your bikes? The second thing is there anything, communication or coordination regarding what you're doing and the issue that we have been dealing with as far as bike lanes? Are those things being coordinated? And are you part of that discussion to decide whether there should be bike lanes in certain parts of the community? Thank you.
Yeah, so going for the first question about whether bikes can be left outside of a station. So yes, our e-bikes, the black and gray bikes, are able to be left, are able to be locked to, they're hybrid, so they can be docked to docked at a station like a normal red bike, or they can be locked to a bike rack or other public furniture, or other street furniture for an extra fee. I believe it's $2. And so 75% of all our e-bike trips begin end-to-end at a dock. So we find that most people use they lock outside of a dock when either the station is full or there's no station nearby. So having a station in the area would help, I think would help reduce the amount of bikes that are left, locked out in the wild. The second question, I believe, is about trucks or about servicing the station. So yes, so the station, so we do what's called rebalance stations. And so that's taking bikes away from full stations and bringing them to empty stations, and sort of vice versa. So yeah, there, when the need arises, we do have service vehicles that come by and rebalance the stations, but, it doesn't happen very frequently. I don't imagine, this area would be quite as high ridership as other areas in the district where, where rebalancing happens more frequently, but, it will happen, but it does happen, sort of as the need arises. You know, it's not probably like an everyday thing. And then the third question was about, oh, bike lanes. So I'm not involved in the bike lane planning, but we do like to add new capital bike share stations when bike lanes come on board, because, you know, we see a lot of usage that way. There's no bike lane planned for any of these corridors at the moment. But if you have any suggestions, you know, we're happy to add bike share stations to them. So I hope I answered everything.
Yeah, though, I guess my statement to you is that there's a lot of opposition to bike lanes. So if it's working in the direction of pushing decisions toward having more bike lanes, that would be my concern.
Well, we certainly want our riders to be safe. So
I have a lot to say, but I'm going to refrain because of time. I'm just going to leave it there. Just know that this is a diverse community with a lot of history and also new residents, but a lot of long-term residents. So we have to find ways just to continue to live together in our community. I'll just leave it there. Dimitar, if I'm saying that correctly, you have the floor, and then Uchenna, I'm going to have you be the last person for this part of the agenda. Dimitar, you have the floor.
Yeah, you're saying it better than my wife, I must admit. Very, very quickly, I have a different question, which is more in terms of what is the process of actually establishing a bike station. I live near North Michigan Park, and there is a lot of people who are commuting with bikes to the recreational center. So I wonder what would be the process of actually establishing a bike station there, and what steps needs to be taken, both in terms of, as you mentioned, reducing the number of bikes which are on the sidewalk, but also in terms of providing access to residents to the bike share service. And I wanted to start with this. Actually, congratulations. I mean, it's like you have exceeded like any expectations in terms of the bike share services. I have been looking at the numbers, and they are very impressive. And you and the rest of the team should be very proud of them. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, our e-bikes are great and help driving our ridership. So I think your question is about, I guess, the process of selecting where a bike share station can go, or requesting one. And I think you're mentioning the North Michigan Park Rec Center.
No, the question is, yeah, how we can get one of those there, basically. So
surveys. So we don't have any surveys, but we do have a public request website. I think if you just Google search like Capital Bike Share Station Requester, it should pop up. I don't recall the URL off the top of my head, but if this is in regards to the North Michigan Park Rec Center, which I think it is. Apologies if I'm mistaken. But we are working with we are in talks with DPR to put a station there as well. You know, the more the merrier, we find. So, but if you have any suggested locations, you know, we do have the caveat.
No, it seems that a lot of folks which are using, in particular kids, as far as I can tell, which are using the recreational center, are getting there by bikes, and these bikes are usually ending up on the street. But if there is a station there, they can park them there, save some money. But also there is an extra infrastructure which will be available for the community. So I thought it would be great, and I was wondering about the actual process. But if it's already in motion, that sounds great. Yeah, thank you.
All right. Yeah, and I'll put my contact info in the chat as well if you want to reach out and send some suggestions to me as well. I'm happy to review them. You know, the more the merrier. So thank you.
Okay.
I did put the link in the chat, by the way, for people who wanted to know.
Oh, thank you, Commissioner. Yes, cabbystationrequest.dc.gov. Yes, thank you.
Okay. Final comment, question on this. Uchenna, you have the floor.
Good evening, Mr. Metletsky. I can also email you, but I was wondering if you could briefly address the build out of the network along South Dakota Avenue, because I distinctly recall a few years ago, you came to ANC 5A talking about how you all would be putting one at South Dakota and Galloway. Here we are, 3 years, going on 4 years later, and we don't have one. And I know that there was supposed to be a network of them along South Dakota Avenue.
Yes, so we still have plans for a location near South Dakota and Galloway. I think we're actually shifting it to South Dakota and Ingram. The main issue at South Dakota and Galloway is that we didn't have the space we wanted to put it on was partially owned. It was partially on private property, and the property owners were not in support of it. And so any other location in the public space where it was in a convenient location, we didn't have the solar access. And so with this new station typology I mentioned before, pillar dock, we don't have that big solar panel on it. Now each dock has its own little solar panel, and so it's a lower power draw. So we're now able to put these stations where we couldn't before. So we're still on track. We're still planning to put a station in that vicinity, but we will. I think we're still waiting on that build out at Ingram, whatever's going on at South Dakota and Ingram.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you for your patience. I know that station's been taking a long time. It's been rather frustrating. So, thank you for your patience.
Okay. At some point, I have to respectfully cut it off. So, Deb, I see that you have a question. If you could ask your question in the chat, because it's 9:06 and we're still not done. So I gotta respect time. And so if you could do that, Deb, I'd appreciate that. Just put the question in the chat, and we're gonna move on with the. Thank you, Greg, for your willingness to answer questions in the chat.
Thank you.
Okay, so next, I would like to introduce Jose Sousa, the new chief. Is it? I want to say executive officer, chief financial.
I just work here, yeah, but I'm the operating officer. But thank you.
That's chief operating officer for Washington U Ying. I want to just give him the floor to give updates and just introduce, and congratulations again. And I look forward to working with you.
Thank you, commissioners. I know it's been a long evening, so I'm going to go fairly quickly. I was with you last month, said I'd be back this month to give you a quick update, and I do have one ask of you this evening. So this is a rendering of the building that we're constructing at 4350 First Street Northeast. Really excited to announce that it's coming online, and we'll have students in that building by January 2nd of 2025. This is a little bit more about us. Washington U Ying has been a school located in Ward 5 since 2011. There's our mission statement. I'm not going to read through this because I'm going to try to be brief. We are in a pattern of growth. We're currently serving 702 students in our current building. Next year, we'll serve 772 students between both buildings. So it's only a 70 student increase between building 1 and building 2 for next year. We offer an equitable access preference, which is important because it helps us to make these quality tier 1 seats more accessible for lots of families across the district. And we're really proud of that opportunity as well. Just a quick rendering for you all to take a look at the site that's being developed. We are the first building that's going to be delivering there. We are the blue building. The existing gray building is the former Karoff Ballet site, and Washington Latin is building their structure just west of us, which is the red building. We will be the first building to deliver, and anticipate, as I mentioned, that we'll have students in the building. There are preschool 3, pre-K 4, and kindergarten program in the building by January 2nd, 2025, when we come back from the holiday break. A quick overview of the map for you to see this. If you look at the star, that's where we're currently located. And so the new site is 0.2 miles from the current building. We're really excited to have this proximity. It's going to be really helpful to us, but it also means that there's a lot of intentional thought that's going into how we're mitigating traffic, addressing parking concerns, Happy to report that last week MPD was here with me on site at the school and at the new site to take a look at the community areas and address some concerns that we've identified early in the process. Tomorrow morning, I'm meeting with DDOT at 8 a.m. to observe our current arrival process, and they're going to walk over with me to the new site as well to take a look at what we're dealing with in this issue. Quick rendering of the site about maybe a couple weeks ago, but you'll see the rendering and the site is there. We're really excited that it's coming to fruition at this point. Obviously, this project has been full of opportunities and some challenges. Really excited about a new building, new playgrounds, new play spaces, also space for events and activities. We will be sharing information on how residents can make requests to make use of our building. We'd love to host any community meetings that are being sought by not just the ANC, but also by any other organizations that would like to use the building for gathering opportunities. My major ask of you today is our consideration of a request to be able to apply for work to take place on a holiday, which is Monday, Veterans Day, November 11th. I wanted to note that that will be a full regular day of school for here us at Ying. And so I had mentioned that we would be seeking this request from all of you so that we can catch up, use this day to get us closer to our delivery date. Happy to report that the most of the work that's going to be taking place that day will be interior work. It's not going to be intrusive work that's going to take up sound or inconvenience neighbors. On the call as well as my colleague John Breyer, who was with you earlier talking about the Mundo Verde project. John is our very able owners rep who's been helping us throughout this process. He regularly engages with the 200-foot neighbors to let them know what's going on, provide key construction updates, but also to address and mitigate concerns as they are addressed. So should you vote favorably for this request this evening, which we hope you'll do, John and I will work together to make sure we let residents know about the November 11th date, but also to let them know about some additional milestones that are coming. We anticipate conducting meetings in both November and December with the community here at our current building to talk about the opening, but also to address concerns and to share updated arrival and dismissal plans that are taking place for the building. And as I mentioned previously, we're actively encouraging the use of more bicycles, reducing vehicular traffic. We've got an agreement in principle right now. Actually, no, it's taking place right with Archbishop Carroll, where we're using parking spaces on their site for our educators. It's been a really big help to get those spots off of where residents are currently living, and we'll continue to increase that load with them as the site comes online. And this is just a traffic mitigation plan that was previously shared with ANC 5A last year on these efforts with the school. So thank you for your time. Here's my information. I'll put it in the chat as well as soon as I'm done presenting. My email address, my phone number for any questions you have, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have at this time. Thank you.
Jose, thank you for that. You ran through that rather quickly, but it was still, I caught everything. So thank you. What I will say before I hear from the commissioners in the community, it's going to be hard. I could hear from some community members, and I think I might have even said this to you. It's hard to support construction on a day when most families will be home. However, I understand the need, especially to keep up with the project timelines and deadlines. So I want to hear from the community in terms of what the pleasure is from community members. And so I'll start with, our commissioner for protocol purposes. I see Commissioner Lucio, and then I see Teresa. You've had your hand raised patiently for a while. And then I see former Commissioner Washington, those three. So, Commissioner Lucio, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chairman Fletcher. I just have a question that I have asked, and I just want to get confirmation of this. Did you publicly notify the people within 200 feet of your plan to work on Veterans Day?
We would only do so upon your affirmative request. So if we received your approval, we would notify the residents as soon as we have that letter in place before we apply to Department of Buildings for the permit.
Okay, that just seems a little backwards to me, because typically when there's a proposal at hand, like people to notify the residents that there's a proposal. And that way they know to attend the meeting to voice their concern and opinion, and they didn't have that opportunity if they weren't notified in advance. So I just, okay, thanks.
Okay, so Teresa, you have the floor.
Hi, my name is Teresa Garant. I live on Urell Place Northeast, maybe 100 feet from the new school. We are directly between Ying campuses, and our parking is extremely limited because we only have on-street parking. And I would like a little bit more detail on what Ying and Washington Latin are going to do about the teacher parking. Also, at one point, Ying was asking some of his teachers not to park on Urell Place, but we see that that is no longer the case. They're here. And I don't know if I want to throw all this in at once, but John Breyer, we have construction workers who are parking on Urell Place. And at one point, you had assured us that they wouldn't, and they do. And there's a great deal of trash left by the construction workers on First Street, right in front of the construction site, and right there at the intersection of Urell Place and First Street. Thank you.
Thank you, Teresa. And first of all, again, I appreciate your presence this evening. You're correct. I mentioned earlier, we have secured agreements from Archbishop Carroll to host teacher parking on their parking lots. We have been making use of that, and we have been asking our teachers to be more mindful of where they're parking, to park legally, and to not park in areas that are designated as residential parking permit zones. Additionally, we just created reserve spots on our campus for carpooling groups so that we can take more vehicles off of the streets and off of the neighborhood. Part of our meeting last week with MPD was specifically to work around this particular issue, to address resident concerns, but also to address concerns that our staff has had around making sure that they're not being bad actors in terms of where they're parking, where they shouldn't be parking. And so I will continue to reiterate that with our team. John, I defer to you on your engagement with the construction folks. I know that there have been commitments that were made on that. And I'll let you address that part of the question, John.
Yeah, we appreciate the concern about the trash. I agree that we have there have been times throughout the project, one could be today, where there's trash on the street. We've been working with the general contractors to sweep the streets with our some of our on-site day staff on a daily basis. We are working with there's several parties involved with this project, and we only have one parcel of land here. So we're working very closely with the Washington Latin team to, as a group, clean everything up. But if you do have any questions or concerns, or you notice things, please send me a text, give me a call. I will drop my number in the chat. Again, it's also a very public number. So I apologize for that.
Thank you.
The question, the response, John, and you have the floor, and then Regina, you'll have the last question, comment on this.
Are you recognizing me, Commissioner Fletcher?
Oh, yes, I did. I thought yes,
No,
you have the.
I didn't hear. I'm sorry. Commissioner Lucio, you're absolutely correct. The proper procedure is to notify the community first prior to seeking permission to work on a holiday. I think I just had that conversation I reached out to Commissioner Fletcher because the construction at One Hawaii wanted to work on Columbus Day as well as Veterans Day. And that's the day, as stated, that most families are home during the day on that holiday. And I think, for me, I just think it's not even the right place to even be asking to work on Veterans Day for construction to be done because of a schedule. So I live in 5A06, which is where this is. And I, as a resident and as the Civic Association president on the Fort Totten side, and in regards to the individuals that live between both campuses, I would not recommend that they be able to work on a holiday. Thank you.
Thank you for those words, Sandy. And Regina, you have,
Thank you. I'm not sure why, but my little icon for the hand up, I don't have it.
I understand.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So first of all, for the holiday, I live closer than Miss Teresa does. And these workers, I mean, they're supposed to start at 7 a.m. They start at 7 a.m., but they come in around 5:36 in the morning. They take up all the spaces, they play their music. We did have some problem, and I think it was addressed with John, where they would start the machines before 7 a.m. They didn't start work till 7, but they would start these machines up at 7. And there was 2 times there was like this crazy banging. They can't remember the name of the machine now, but anyway, I would ask that you vote that we not have the work on the holiday, because 5 days from 7 to whatever time they stop. It's been for what, over a year. So the little days and the little times that we get where we don't have the construction and the noise and the traffic is so very much appreciated. The other thing is, I understand that I heard Mr. Lusa say that they're going to be meeting with MDOT in regards to the traffic flow. And I would like to know a little bit more about that, because as far as the traffic flow for the school that we already have, it's terrible. I can't get out at the top of the hill Second and Taylor Street in the morning. I have to go all the way around by the 7-Eleven to get out in the morning when I go to work. I don't understand, but I'm hearing talk of making certain streets one way. And if that's the case, I would like to know if the neighborhood, if the community has any kind of say on that, because I understand it's going to be a lot of traffic, uptick in traffic, more traffic than we already have with the First Union School. However, this is our community. And when things like that, major things like that happen, we need to be informed, or at least vote on it or be informed of it. This, things happening and we not finding out, or finding out when it's too late, those kind of things. It's disrespectful to the community, for the people that have been here for a while, the people that have just moved in. It's been a crazy inconvenience as far as the construction. And I understand construction has to happen for the school to start. However, having, workarounds without the community input is just really just a slap in the face. We've got 4 schools in a 1 block radius. And it's ongoing with, things that happen or things that are approved without the community knowing about it. So first of all, I would ask that you don't vote, that you vote no for the construction on a holiday, because that's our day, just for rest. And if there is talk or discussion about changing the direction of our streets, let us know so that we can have a say in that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Regina. And let me first start off by saying you're absolutely correct. There are no commitments at all. Part of the meeting with DDOT tomorrow is to get their input on what observations they're having about our current procedures. I don't anticipate there being any changes whatsoever around directions or streets before our January open. What I would like to get feedback from them on is how what they suggest in terms of what we could optimize and what would help facilitate better flow around that area. And that process would definitely have to involve not just coming back before this body, but it would be a separate SMD meeting just with that area and a community meeting with all of you to talk about what their proposals are. They are the subject matter experts on this issue. They would have to present what their recommendations are. And so that would be a much longer process that as soon as I have more direction about what they observe tomorrow, happy to come back before this body and to meet with you and any of your neighbors to talk more about that. Put my information in the chat on that issue. I wanted to add one more thing that I mentioned that I failed to mention, which is one thing that we are giving extremely serious attention to, and that could be a way to help mitigate a lot of this, is exploring a satellite drop-off option on Harewood Road in one of the parking lots off of some of the institutional users there, where families would drop off in those back parking lots. We'd throw students onto one or two buses and run a bus up Harewood onto the campus and back, which I think would eliminate several hundred vehicles off of that. Again, we're in the process of assessing those cost estimates for that, and that could be a potential thing that would help mitigate a lot of these concerns as well. But I hear you directly, Mr. Gina, and my commitment to you is, and if you want my information, I can send it to you directly, but it's in the chat. Happy to meet with you about your concerns. Look forward to working. As Commissioner Gordon mentioned, or Chair Gordon, I joined the school in this capacity in August, but I've been a parent for 14 years and I'm a former resident of ANC 5A. So I hear you and I look forward to working with you on this issue.
One thing, I can just reiterate about Jose, he's very much a dedicated community member, and he's doing great work at Washington U Ying. So I believe any comments that we present to him, he will definitely take them back to leadership and do the best he can, for us as residents and community members. So with this being said, there's no more questions or comments. Jose, one of the unfortunate things about, being the last person is just we save the best for last, which is true. But we don't have quorum anymore in terms of the commissioners. Some commissioners got off, and so unfortunately, we're not in a position to vote on supporting your desire to have construction workers there on Veterans Day. But I will also say, that I understand the sentiments raised by many of the community members. I think you can as well. Just about that day being a day of peace for residents. So I'll leave it there. We cannot vote, and that's just where we are at this time. So yeah, okay.
We are a democracy, Commissioner, and I appreciate that. Not a problem at all. I thank you for your time.
And I appreciate you stating that, because we are democracy, and Robert's Rule of Order prevails. It helps us keep with our democratic principles, or democracy at the forefront. So thank you. But I want to make this the last thing clear. Jose, you're more than welcome to come back. Any updates, we want you to come back. We want you to give updates to the community members about what's happening. Okay, so please do not be a stranger.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I won't.
Absolutely. So with that being said, commissioners, community, I think we are about at the end of our meeting. I know some of us didn't think we'd ever get here, but we're here. So we're down to community comments. My understanding that there's one business that needs to be handled still, the sharing of info on grants during community comments. Is that something that Commissioner Bukum, you still want to do now?
Well, we can just post it on our website. But I just wanted to mention that grants are available. There's a lot of rules, but we would like you to take a look at the available available rules and see if there's something you can apply for. But we can talk about it at a future meeting.
Okay.
Chairman Fletcher, just to clarify, it is already on the website.
Okay. Yeah, right, exactly. So thank you both for that. Okay, and so the last thing before we entertain a motion to adjourn is that our meeting in November lands on the week of Thanksgiving, and so we are going to move that meeting back to 1 week to Wednesday, November 27th. Same time, same virtual platform. Okay, so just want to make that known to everyone. And then lastly, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Wonderful, wonderful. Motion to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. And you abstain. Okay.
Nay.
Oh, that was a good one. That was always good to leave a long meeting with a smile. So thank you all so much with us, and to my students, you don't have to do those takeaways tonight. Communication tomorrow. Everyone have a great night. Take care and be safe. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.